A billionaire came home late, only to find his maid bruised and his son holding the truth. When the butler's cruelty was finally exposed, the mansion's walls echoed with shame, courage, and justice. What happened inside that kitchen would change everything forever. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start. The kitchen was still, save for the faint hum of the refrigerator. The woman in the navy uniform sat hunched at the wooden table, her gloved hands trembling in her lap. A swollen bruise darkened her eye, stark against her pale skin. She pressed a damp cloth to it, biting her lip to keep from crying out. "Hold still," a small voice whispered. She lifted her gaze and saw the boy, the billionaire's son, standing on tiptoe, carefully holding another cloth, chilled from the ice box. His tiny hand pressed it against her face with surprising gentleness. He was dressed sharply in a suit, his tie slightly crooked, but his eyes were steady. "You don't have to," she murmured. "I want to," he replied firmly. "You're hurt." Her breath caught. She had been a maid in this mansion for months, used to being invisible, spoken to only for orders. Yet this child looked at her as though she mattered. His gaze burned with anger, not at her, but for her. The silence broke with a heavy creak of a door. The boy's father, tall silver-haired, stepped into the kitchen. His black suit was crisp even at this late hour. He froze at the sight before him. His maid bruised and trembling, his son cradling her face. What is this?" His voice thundered, sharp with disbelief. The boy turned, his jaw clenched. "She's heard, father." And no one cared. The billionaire's eyes widened. "Who did this?" The maid dropped her gaze, shaking her head. "It's nothing, sir. I just don't lie." The boy snapped, his voice rising higher than ever before. "It was Butler James." The air thickened. The father blinked. "James." The boy nodded furiously. "She broke 2 plates while washing." He yelled, called her stupid. Then he hit her twice. "I heard it. I saw her cry." His small hand shook, but he didn't look away, and she tried to hide it. The woman's lips quivered. "Please, sir, don't make it worse. I need this job." "I can't." The boy turned back to her, his voice softening. "You don't deserve this. You are only working." He pressed the ice pack harder against her bruise. He had no right. The billionaire stepped forward, his face hardening, but confusion clouded his eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" She let out a broken laugh, bitter and tired. "Tell you and risk being dismissed." "Sir, I've seen what happens when maids complain. We're replaced, forgotten. I have a daughter who needs food, a roof. I can't lose this." Her words trembled, but there was steel beneath them. The boy's father looked at her, then at his son. For the first time, he noticed the boy's hands, so small but steady, defiant. His son was not crying for himself. He was fighting for her. "You should have told me," the billionaire muttered again, softer now, as though speaking to himself. The maid shook her head. "Men like James, they believe they're untouchable because they've been here longer than people like me. He thinks you trust him more than a woman who scrubs your floors." The boy's jaw tightened. "Then trust me, father. I saw it. I heard it. If you let him stay after this, then what's the point of all your rules and money if you can't even protect someone who works for you?" The billionaire stared at his son, stunned. This was the first time the boy had ever spoken to him with such fire. His voice wasn't childish anymore. It carried the weight of truth. The maid pressed her glove to her chest, trying to steady her breathing. Shame washed over her face, not because she had broken 2 plates, but because she had allowed herself to be treated as less than human. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "No." The boy cut her off, his voice shaking with both rage and compassion. "You don't say sorry. He should say sorry. He broke you, not the plates." Her eyes widened, tears spilling despite her effort to hold them back. She had endured insults, long hours, aching hands, but this defense from a child pierced her heart more than any wound. The billionaire stood frozen, watching his son cradle the maid's pain as though it were his own. And in that still kitchen, one truth pressed down on all of them. The mansion's wealth had blinded him, but his son's eyes had not. The boy looked up at his father, defiant. "You can't stay quiet now. You can't." The billionaire swallowed hard, but before he could speak, the maid whispered again, her voice breaking. "Please don't fire me. Don't send me away." The boy gripped her wrist tightly, refusing to let her retreat into silence. "He won't. Not this time. I won't let him." The kitchen felt suffocating, the silence heavier than stone. The billionaire's jaw tightened, but his voice was low. "Tell me everything. No more hiding." The maid froze, her gloved fingers twisting together. She lowered her head, shame coloring her cheeks. I was washing the dinner set, sir. The porcelain from Italy. The plates that cost more than I earn in a month. Her voice cracked. My hands were tired. One slipped, then another. Both shattered. The boy looked at her with wide burning eyes, then turned to his father, and James saw. Her chest rose sharply. He came into the kitchen shouting, his words cut like knives. Careless, useless woman, he called me. I tried to apologize, but he wouldn't stop. He said I didn't deserve to be here, that I was only hired out of pity. Then she touched her bruise with the ice cloth, trembling. He struck me once across the face. When I stumbled, he grabbed me and struck me again right here in this house. The boy's fists balled at his sides, and I was right there. I saw it. His voice broke, but his gaze didn't falter. She didn't even fight back. She just kept saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He turned on his father, eyes shining with unshed tears. That's what broke me. She was apologizing while he was hurting her. The billionaire's breath came ragged. His face flushed with a mixture of anger and shame. And James thought he could. In my house, the maid whispered. He told me not to say a word. He said, if I did, you'd choose him over me. That you'd throw me out without a second thought. He's been here for years. I'm just a maid. The boy's small voice cut through her fear. You're not just anything. You're a person. You matter. Her eyes filled with tears, her lips trembling. You shouldn't be the one saying that, young master. That should have come from him. The billionaire turned away, pacing, his polished shoes striking the tile. Rage twisted his face. Where is he now? The maid swallowed hard. He's in his quarters. I told him I'd stay silent. That's why he left me alone. I didn't want trouble. Please, sir. But the boy interrupted, stepping forward, his chin raised. You can't let him stay. If you do, then you're no different. The words sliced deep. The father froze, looking at his son as if seeing him for the first time, not as a boy, but as someone braver than himself. Moments later, the kitchen door creaked. James, the butler, tall in his black uniform, entered casually, wiping his hands with a cloth. He stopped cold when he saw the scene. The maid clutching ice to her face, the boy glaring, and the master of the house, his stare burning holes through him. Sir, James stammered, straightening. Enough, the billionaire cut him off, his voice shaking with fury. How dare you? James pawed. It was an accident. She dropped your plates, sir. Careless, expensive plates. And that gave you the right to raise your hand. The billionaire stepped closer, towering over him. You laid a hand on her in my home. James opened his mouth, but no words came. The boy shouted before he could. I saw you. Don't you lie. You called her names. You hid her, and you laughed when she cried. The maid covered her face, sobbing softly. The billionaire's voice dropped. Deadly calm. You've disgraced this household. You're finished here. Get out tonight. James stiffened, his pride flaring. After all these years, sir, you take her word over mine. The boy stepped forward before his father could speak, his voice cracked, but carried fire. Not just her word, mine. And I'm not lying. If you don't believe me, then you don't believe your own son. The words struck like thunder. James faltered, his eyes darting between father and child. For the first time, fear flickered across his face. The billionaire advanced another step, his voice trembling with restrained fury. You put your hands on someone under my roof. You thought her silence would protect you. But tonight it ends. Pack your things and leave. If you're not gone in an hour, I'll make sure you answer to the law. James swallowed, but the fight in him withered. He turned and stormed out, muttering under his breath, but his shoulders sagged with defeat. Silence followed, heavy and raw. The maid's knees buckled, but the boy caught her hand. It's over, he whispered. She wept, shaking her head. I didn't think anyone would ever stand for me. Not here, the billionaire's voice softened. You should never have been afraid. I failed you by letting him believe he had more power than decency. But that ends now. He paused, his eyes meeting his son's. Because my boy reminded me what it means to protect those who can't fight back. The boy held the maid's hand tighter. You don't need to thank me. You just need to know you're safe now. The woman sobbed, pressing her hand to her chest. God bless you both. For once, the billionaire didn't feel pride in his wealth, but in the courage of his son, a child who saw what he had overlooked. And in that moment, the house no longer felt like just marble and glass. It felt like a place where justice had finally spoken. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories of courage and truth. Tell us in the comments, would you have the courage to stand up for someone when no one else would?